Martin Truex Jr. disappeared so quietly that a lot of NASCAR fans honestly thought they'd already seen the last chapter of his career. Slight pause, no farewell tour, no weekly headlines, no constant TV appearances. Just a former Cup Series champion walking away from the sport and vanishing into a private life of hunting, fishing, and silence. And now, slight pause. Out of nowhere, Truex is back, standing at the center of NASCAR's brand new media era with Amazon Prime Video, one of the biggest companies on earth behind him. That's not just a comeback, slight pause. That's a statement. Prime Video officially launches its second exclusive NASCAR broadcast window this weekend, and one of the biggest surprises is Martin Truex Jr. joining the analyst desk at Michigan. For a guy who barely spoke publicly after retirement, this caught the entire NASCAR world off guard. And the timing makes this even more fascinating, because the last major Truex headline wasn't about racing at all. It was that bizarre situation where several of his trophies and personal career items suddenly showed up online for sale without his permission. Fans were shocked. Truex himself had to come out publicly and say those items meant too much to him to ever intentionally let go. Then came another sign that he was done with NASCAR completely, selling his massive Lake Norman estate and reportedly moving out of North Carolina. Everything pointed toward a man fully disconnecting from the sport. But now he's suddenly back on national broadcast during one of the most important media transitions NASCAR has had in decades. And honestly, this matters more than people realize, because Martin Truex Jr. brings something incredibly valuable to Prime's coverage: modern credibility. This isn't just another retired legend giving old school opinions from a different generation of racing. Truex actually raced the next gen car. He understands the current NASCAR landscape from the inside. He knows what drivers are fighting with every single weekend: the aero sensitivity, the tire management, the balance issues, the fuel saving chess matches. That's huge. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, legendary names, absolutely. But none of them competed in this era of NASCAR machinery. Truex did. Brad Keselowski still races, but he can't fully commit to the booth every week because he's balancing ownership and driving duties. Truex fills a major gap, and Michigan is actually the perfect track for his debut. He never won there, but that almost makes him more interesting analytically. 11 top 5 finishes in 16 top 10 finishes at Michigan means he spent years figuring out that place without ever fully conquering it. Drivers like that usually give the best technical insight because they understand every tiny detail required to survive there. That perspective translates incredibly well on television. But there's another layer here nobody should ignore. This isn't just about Martin Truex Jr. slight pause. This is about NASCAR evolving. The sport knows it's fighting for younger audiences, streaming audiences, and viewers who consume sports differently now. And Prime Video isn't treating this like traditional racing TV. They're building this presentation almost like Formula One meets NFL level production. The AI-powered burn bar returning this year is a massive deal. Thousands of live data points per second. Fuel strategy breakdowns, RPM tracking, throttle analysis, real-time explanations casual fans can actually understand. That's smart, because one of NASCAR's biggest long-term problems has been explaining strategy clearly enough for newer viewers. Hardcore fans love fuel mileage races. Casual viewers sometimes just see cars driving around under green. Prime is trying to bridge that gap with technology. Then add over 70 cameras, more in-car audio, drone coverage, HDR broadcasts, and commercial formats designed to avoid missing green flag action. And suddenly NASCAR looks far more modern than it did even 5 years ago. And putting Truex into that environment feels intentional. He's respected by old school fans, but he also represents the recent competitive era. He's not too disconnected from today's garage. Drivers still know him personally. Crew chiefs still relate to him. Fans still remember him battling for championships not that long ago. That gives Prime authenticity. Now the big question becomes this: is this a one-time appearance, slight pause? Or is Martin Truex Jr. quietly beginning a second career in NASCAR media? Because if he's good on camera, and honestly his personality might fit television better than people think, networks are going to want more of him immediately. Truex has always had that calm, measured personality that works extremely well in analysis roles. He's not overly theatrical, he doesn't force drama, and sometimes viewers trust those personalities more because they feel genuine. That could become incredibly valuable in modern sports broadcasting, where authenticity matters more than polished corporate energy. But there's still risk here too. Being great in a race car does not automatically make someone great on television. Some drivers struggle explaining complex racing concepts quickly, others sound too technical, some just don't have the energy needed for live broadcasting. Prime is clearly betting that Truex' experience and credibility will outweigh that learning curve, and if it works, slight pause, this could completely reshape his post-retirement identity. Fans already seem split on the news. A lot of longtime NASCAR fans are genuinely excited because Truex has been so absent that seeing him involved again feels refreshing. There's curiosity, there's nostalgia, there's also respect because he never overstayed his welcome after retirement. But some fans are skeptical too. There are people wondering if NASCAR is leaning too hard into streaming. Others still worry about accessibility compared to traditional cable broadcasts. And there are always fans who prefer outspoken personalities over quieter analysts. That debate is going to follow this entire Prime experiment all season long. Now let's talk future scenarios. Best case scenario, Truex becomes one of the breakout stars of NASCAR media. Prime's production succeeds, younger audiences engage with the technology upgrades, and NASCAR finally finds a modern broadcast identity that feels fresh without abandoning traditional fans. In that scenario, Truex probably becomes a permanent analyst moving forward. Worst case scenario, the streaming rollout creates fan frustration, the broadcast style feels overproduced, and Truex decides media life simply isn't for him after a short run. And honestly, both outcomes feel possible right now. But one thing is undeniable. Martin Truex Jr. returning during NASCAR's biggest media shift in years feels symbolic. A driver who quietly walked away from the sport is suddenly helping introduce its next era. That's not random timing. So now the question goes to NASCAR fans. Do you think Martin Truex Jr. could actually become a great broadcaster, or should NASCAR legends stay out of the booth once their driving careers end? Drop your take below because this one is going to divide the garage area and the fan base fast. And if this really is the beginning of a new chapter for Truex, NASCAR may have just made one of its smartest media moves in years.